Bungie's newest expansion, The Edge of Fate, is launching, and we have a whole new narrative, a whole new saga, the beginning of a potentially like a 6-year journey is what I've heard rumored right now, a 6-year narrative, right? The final shape was roughly 10 years. And so now we're launching into a whole new saga. Will this be able to finally acquire new players? If there was any point in time for new players to jump into Destiny 2, it would certainly be at the start of a new saga, right? We've previously seen that like with Destiny 1, obviously everyone was new to the game. Destiny 2 launched, we had a ton of new people jumping in and getting interested in the future of Destiny 2 and what Bungie was trying to cook up. That obviously turned out to be disastrous. And now we're getting our third iteration within the Destiny universe as a sort of a restart, so to speak, right? We're not experiencing, you know, a whole new game. We're not experiencing Destiny 3. We're not experiencing mass sunsetting. We're experiencing kind of like a light sunsetting to some degree. Will this finally invite new players? I'm very skeptical of it. It doesn't seem like a lot of new players are particularly interested, which is unfortunate because this would be the point of entry right now. This would be the time to get new players into the game. This article reads, will Destiny 2's Edge of Fate expansion actually attract new players? With no Destiny 3 anywhere on the horizon, Bungie has said that a goal of the upcoming Frontiers era, starting with the Edge of Fate expansion, would be to try to grab new and lapsed players with various forms of resets and a different overall structure. So that was the game plan. Right now, we're a week away from the Edge of Fate. It's not looking good. The question is, will it? I know the immediate cynical snap judgment answer from jaded community members may be no. I guess that's me. But I want to dive at least a little bit deeper than that. The way this may work is supposed to work and will work in different areas, okay? Let's see what we got. A new saga. Bungie has officially closed the book on the Light and Darkness saga, the 10-year fight with the Witness, with the help of the Traveler. Bungie says the saga began in Shadowkeep, but no, it's been in motion since the literal start of the series in the first game. I mean, to some degree, right? They didn't really know what they were doing with the darkness. I remember when they went over to Destiny 2, they like changed the whole idea of what the darkness was. I definitely think that it actually did begin in Shadowkeep. Like that was when they actually like started to picture this whole narrative coming together and having this kind of climactic ending. Now, I can in fact view this as a truly new start. It's an interesting idea to choose the 9 as a big focus of the coming story, given that if there is one group that has barely been explored in the last 10 years, it's the 9, who dip in and out and sometimes give us PvP modes or sometimes game shows with sparkly horses. It's a lot. I think the 9 is an excellent choice narratively. Obviously, we don't know a whole lot about them. They seem to be very enticing. The 9 have always been intriguing to Destiny players in general. Now, new players obviously have no clue what the 9 are or don't really care, so they're not particularly attracted or like interested when they hear the 9. They're like, who cares, right? All we've seen from the 9, maybe as a new player, is, you know, you got your feet pics trailer, and that's about it. So maybe the feet pics sold some of the new players. Who knows? There's a lot of gooner gamers out there now with all of these jiggle physics games. But with the 9, it's a fresh start, with the idea being that each have different goals and personalities in a way I'd sort of view like a pantheon of Greek gods, more so than the Hive pantheon, even. There are a lot more as a start, so I do think that's an interesting starting place, albeit this story is going to feature long-running characters that have anywhere from 5 to 10 years of story behind them, which new players will not know lest they watch 10 hours of Bife videos. True, hopefully there's, you know, some narrative, you know, cutscenes to kind of catch people up to pace a little bit. You know, if we're starting a whole new fresh story, you don't necessarily need to know all of the Drifter's backstory. You can kind of figure out who the Drifter is pretty fast, right? You can see what's going on with that. You can understand, you know, the Vanguard. I mean, it shouldn't be too hard to catch people up to pace, especially if we're jumping into a whole new, you know, saga, a whole new era, a whole new narrative, I suppose. But yeah, I guess there is some of those previous stories are kind of just assumed that people know like who these characters are that we're going into this with, right? The portal, possibly the biggest idea that Bungie has for this new era is the use of a main landing page called the portal. It will also have the current expansion destination planted on there, in this case Kepler, moving away from the sometimes beloved but admittedly confusing Solar System Director. No, I hate this so much. The Solar System Director looks cool. It has an element of mystery, intrigue, and it also kind of is how you would approach like this like space, like it's like you're floating in space in your ship and you're like, whoa, which planet should I go to? Like, oh, I want to go check out this planet, or I want to go look at that. I want to like the director is Destiny. Changing the director is a huge misstep. And I feel like it's two parts. One, they tried to make this more streamlined experience, which is fine if they want to have a streamlined menu, but the director is goated. Never get rid of the director, Bungie. This is a terrible misstep, in my opinion. And secondly, Kepler, as a planetary destination, is very dry in comparison to current planetary destinations. It doesn't have any lost sectors in it. You know, I mean, I think if you were to actually put Kepler in the director as a map, I think people might be a little disappointed. Maybe. We'll have to see. Only time will tell if it's cool or not. I'm not saying it's not going to be. I'm just saying time will tell. It might be a little more dry and might not look like the usual planetary destination. Now, that could be a good thing. Maybe we need to mix up that. You know, maybe we don't need to just copy and paste the same planets, you know, Nessus 2, Nessus 3, Nessus 4, etc. Like, we need to, you know, mix up the whole system, right? I think we can do that while still keeping the director, though. The director is the best. I die on the hill of the director. The idea behind the portal is that things are broken up very clearly into solo, team, PvP, and then hard team missions to play as the core activities. Not that you can't play old stuff, but that's the focus. The portal feels like a mixed bag. It's activities to jump into fairly easily to earn your current gear, but it's going to feel very weird for new players to be playing the Fire Team Ops missions, pulled from the last 6 years with dialogue that's from old storylines they won't know at all. Oh my god, that is such a good point. You're gonna be jumping into missions and there's just gonna be this guy Cade talking and you're like, who the fuck is that guy? You know, you're gonna be jumping into missions, there's like all these people talking, you're gonna have absolutely no clue what they are saying and what is happening. I also think that there will be no real engagement with the new difficulty mod system past the set ones that are in place for match-made playlists. That system is more geared towards long-term players, but those players may not be amused that these playlists are all literally things they've been playing for years still. That's what I'm saying. It's a valid point. New gear system. It's more streamlined. I'll give it that. Tier 1 through 5 armor and weapons, full stop. Clear benefits to each tier, pretty clear instructions on where to get them in activities, etc. Build crafting is still going to be initially opaque, and keep in mind that these players that will be mission dozens and dozens of exotics if they're just coming in now. Getting new legendary gear may not be a problem, but that will. I do think the system is better than the one we have now in terms of new players taking it on, but it's not as if Destiny has become wholly uncomplicated. Valid. Good luck knowing exactly what 100 different perks and mods do and which ones are actually good. Basing the system heavily around new gear and the new tier system means that old players aren't at some wildly huge advantage in that department. Lesser treadmill. It's just going to be less content overall. Fewer ongoing seasons to grind and catch up on. The time period for releases is now more or less 6 full months with some new additions in the middle. The expansion campaign will be smaller. The new destinations will be. The power climb is perhaps a bit less confusing. The idea is that it will be easier to hop in without feeling exceedingly behind. And however, look, I see the vision for most of this, but there is intention, and there is what happens in practice. I just think it's going to be difficult to tell people now is the time to get into Destiny after 10 years and almost 8 years after the release of Destiny 2. No matter how things have changed, Destiny 3 would have been a much clearer breakpoint. But I do worry about how attractive the game remains, despite whatever changes exist. We may understand them as existing players, but as an outsider, this still may be too complicated. At the same time, Bungie has to retain some level of challenge and complexity to make sure the game is not dull for the players that they're trying to hang on to, many of whom bailed after the final shape. We'll start to see the patterns here in a week. Check back then. There it is. We evoked the mighty word, the Destiny 3 word. This makes Destiny 2 players either deranged or something. I don't know, man. But Destiny 3, I don't know if that's the solution to all of this, right? My main selling point for Destiny 3 is if Bungie had a new engine and if they had like a crazy budget, right? Maybe Destiny 3 would be worth it because they'd have to redo everything, right? Or like not just redo everything, not copy and paste everything, not recycle everything. They'd have to like make everything new, you know? Like the whole game would have to be new. And we're just not there. That's just, we are laying people off. We are laying off people in 2 massive rounds. We just lost about 50% of the studio. We're not launching Destiny 3. All right, there might be a 3rd round of layoffs due to Marathon's immense failure. We're not launching Destiny 3. It's just not happening, all right? Maybe, if Sony takes over. Sony has unlimited budget. Sony basically prints money. Maybe if Sony takes over, they might have interest in developing a Destiny 3. But if that is the case, then that would mean that development would start now, and they would need to invest like $500 million, and we would see that game in like 5 years, right? If even that. I don't think that's happening. As well, to go along with that, we had the game might still be too complicated, and that is a really big pain point. Bungie can't make a game that's for casual players and new players to jump in, and for hardcore players as well. They seem to really struggle with that. There's like a possibility to make this happen, but it just seems very unlikely. And the patterns and the data show that a lot of people are playing games. We looked at a recent statistic where the majority of gamers are playing games that are like 6+ years old right now. So most of you out there are not playing new games as much as you're playing older games. Basically, the idea is that a lot of studios, especially as people are experiencing mass layoffs, Microsoft just laid off 9,000 people, right? The idea is to double down on the current audience you have, no matter what game you're developing, to build your niche up as much as possible. The idea of trying to rapidly change or dynamically change your game right now, especially with all these layoffs that are happening from all these studios and everyone experiencing decline, it's a really bad time to be experimental right now. Now is not the time to be experimental, because if you're too experimental, you could lose your core audience, which means your whole studio will shut the door. They'll shut the doors on your studio, right? You're going to be fired. You're going to be laid off. Everyone goes home, you know? So right now is not the time to be experimental. Right now is the time to double down on whatever your niche is. No matter if you're Destiny 2 or if you're any other game, everyone's trying to double down on their particular niche and grow that audience, right? So unfortunately, I think that Edge of Fate, as much as I do want new players to come in, I do think that they're kind of pushing it the right direction, because the hardcore players are enticed. The hardcore players are like, okay, let's see what this new system looks like. Let's see what build crafting looks like. Let's grind some of these tier 5 weapons. Let's do this new raid, you know? Core audience of Destiny 2 is at least intrigued, for the most part, in playing, which is at least what you need to sell them to. You want to sell all of the core audience, and then of course relapsed players, like they mentioned, people who've played the game in the past and they took a break, trying to get them to come back, you know, starting a whole new narrative, whole new saga. You get to be there at the beginning, you get to do the first raid, you get to see where the story's going. Maybe they're cooking, maybe they're not, you know. I think that that's the right approach. Unfortunately, the Edge of Fate doesn't pull in new players at all. It's not pulling in new players at all. The most microscopic, tiniest, most pathetic amount of new players jumping in for the Edge of Fate, because everything, all the optics of the Edge of Fate do not say, hey, I'm a new player, now's the best time to jump in right now. It just doesn't look like that, which is okay, because like I said, now's the time. Now's not the time for getting new players, especially with the current games industry. Right now's the time to make sure that your core audience is happy. And I think that they're doing the best they can, other than obviously Destiny 3, you know? But Destiny 3 is like, let's be real, guys. Come on. Destiny 3 is not happening. We just experienced 2 layoffs, right? You don't experience 2 waves of layoffs and then go, yeah, hey, let's just go ahead and start a $500 million project, you know? Imagine trying to go to Papa Sony, right? Imagine you're Bungie, you get bought for $3.6 billion, and you just experience 2 massive layoffs. You're experiencing constant decline in population and in revenue. You're missing all your sales goals, and you go up to Papa Sony and you say, hey, could we have a small loan of 500 million? You know, maybe $1 billion. You know, we're going to try and do what GTA 6 is doing, and we're just going to make this like massive Destiny 3, Destiny universe game, something crazy, right? The answer is going to be hell no. The answer is going to be hell to the no. You are not doing that, you know? There's no way they're going to give that much money and developmental effort to this game. Now, this game does have something special that's been going on for so long, for 10 consecutive years, 11 years now, right? We're going on with this game. And that is a really good sign that this game has longevity and will continue to go on. But the launch of a whole new game is massively expensive, and it's just unlikely to happen anytime soon. Maybe if Destiny 2 were to grow and build a bigger audience, maybe at the end of this saga, maybe then we would see a Destiny 3 if it's looking much better. But that's like 6 years from now. Like I said, that's generally like 6 years from now. We have to see what the population is looking like, what Destiny is looking like. We have to see if Bungie is still even developing the game at that point in time. Right now, it's looking like Sony is about to take over, especially because Bungie keeps missing their marks. If Sony takes over and Destiny 2 thrives, I think we could see a Destiny 3. But we have to see Destiny 2 thrive, right? If Sony takes over and Destiny 2 continues to, you know, fall by the wayside, continues to lose population, continues to bleed, then yeah, it's never going to happen, you know? It's never going to happen. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed. Smash the like button. Thanks for watching. Later.